at the same time. YouTube, I'm back. You already know what it is. Duppy, you reap what you sow. Chapter 18 is about to go down. IG Live, YouTube Live. IG Live, YouTube Live. Chapter 18. Let's go. Yep. Let me just turn to it for you. I hope everybody is still practicing what they need to practice in terms of fighting this pandemic. Yeah, I'm going to read from 475. Yeah, right from in there. From in this. Yep. And what? Yeah. So let's get ready to make it happen. See, there I am on the YouTube Live right now. Get a sneak peek of a helper change. All right. This has been a lot of fun, I'll have you know, doing this with you. I hope you all like the story. This is really panning out to be an audio book. I don't know too many audio books where you get to see the author reading to you. You feel me? So here we go. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Yeah, from 474 until the end of chapter 18, which will be page 482. So from 474 to 482, Duppy, you reap what you sow. Chapter 18 excerpt. It goes a little something like this. Okay. Tell you what, Arlene. Please forgive me for chewing in your ear. That's fine. Tell you what, please deposit 5 cents for the next 3 minutes. Tell you what I'll do. Tomorrow I'll go to the hospital in the morning, first thing. I'll go straight uptown before I even work. Okay? Yes. I'll see what I can find out, and I'll be sure to call you tomorrow when I leave there. I'll be home. Please deposit 5 cents for the next 3 minutes. Call me at home. I'll be looking to hear from you. And don't worry, I won't say anything to Michelle. I was super busy with my store, but she's still gonna let me know what's up. Please deposit 5 cents for the next 3 minutes, or your call will be terminated. I'm glad I finally caught you. I'll call you tomorrow, Arlene. The call disconnected on its own. While Patrick took a sip of cola champagne, he leaned back in his rolling chair and opened his bottom right side desk drawer. Removing his Bible, he turned immediately to the book of Matthew, chapter 7. Still enjoying lunch with another bite of roti, he skimmed until he found what he was looking for. Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into fire. After he finished reading Matthew 7, chapter 17 to the 19th verse, Patrick compared the verses to Dwayne and Michelle. Deleting his wife first, Patrick thought, nah, not my angel. I know what she has up her sleeve. I'm all right. That's cool. But my boy, I don't know. I have to keep praying, and I'm going to pray for me. Heavenly Father, keep me in check. After a few more minutes in prayer for himself and everyone, Patrick returned to work. The next morning, after dropping Michelle off to her 8 to 4 shift at Woodhull, Patrick hightailed it to Montefiore to see Dwayne and to hopefully meet with his doctors. He turned up his brand new Take 6 cassette tape in the dashboard to help with not backsliding because of the road-raging New York City traffic. Once arriving at his destination, finding an uneasy space, he parked almost 3 blocks away from the hospital, nestling between a Chevy Nova and a Honda Prelude. There was a big difference in the hospital life and its traffic on a weekday. The tranquil motivation of relatives visiting loved ones during the weekend was replaced with a hustle and bustle similar to that of the Wall Street Stock Exchange. The serenity of offspring and kinfolk stopping by for idle chatter becomes serious business, outnumbered by packs of staff from all areas of the medicine business. Some earnest visitors, like Patrick, come for information, which becomes fateful at times, or they come for simple support. Support and encouragement was on the young man's mind as Dwayne's room door opened slowly, and Patrick stuck his head inside. The room was dark, with dancing images of limited light because of the rented television set hanging from the ceiling. Psst. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Patrick whispered quietly to his sleeping friend. Yo, D. Hey, it's me. It's Pat, homie. Yo, I heard you've been asking for me. Hey, Dwayne, wake up, brother. Yo, I'm going to keep praying for you, homeboy. Word up. My God, give you the strength you need. May God give you the strength you need, brother. You need, brother, man, to come out of this. We're all praying for you. And I know Nikki is coming through to check on you, too. She'll be here. She'll be here soon, man. I don't know when, but I trust Nicole will come to see you. God loves you. We all do, homie. Arlene and Nikki loves you, man. Dwayne didn't budge, resting on heavily. Patrick crept into the room and shut off the blaring television. The life support was gone, replaced with a lime green oxygenated mask that practically covered Dwayne's whole face. Still hooked up to cardiac monitors, indicating a heart rate of 114 beats per minute. Dwayne's youth had disappeared into a hospital room redolent of waste and death. The silver handcuff remained in place with the addition of 2 hospital wrist restraints, tying Dwayne's arms to join the handcuff on the same side. Ensuring that the doors didn't slam, Patrick exited the room. Excuse me, officer. Should both of his hands be tied together like that with the handcuff? Patrick asked the police guard. The hard gum-chewing officer shrugged his shoulders, chuckling. Maybe he's praying, the Caucasian officer replied. Is the doctor around? The policeman shrugged his shoulders again. Patrick walked away, again desperately trying not to backslide. He approached a nursing station, busy with staff. Excuse me. Hello? Excuse me, I'm visiting Dwayne Carter. Is his doctor around? Patrick asked the nursing station clerk. The obese, auburn-haired Caucasian woman nastily pointed towards one of the doctors, scribbling inside a green loose-leaf binder. Thank you kindly, Patrick smiled, thinking, gotta kill him with kindness. Excuse me, doctor. Doctor. The young brown-haired Caucasian male wearing scrubs, lab coat, complete with spectacles and black yarmulke, paused, looking directly at Patrick. May I help you? He asked. Yes, I'm visiting Dwayne Carter, and I'd like to find out how he's doing. Patrick stated emphatically. Great. I'm Dr. Katzberg, the doctor replied, extending his hand. I'm Patrick Livingston. I was jotting a few notes on Mr. Carter. What a coincidence. The doctor tried to be cordial. He stood and walked from behind the nurse's station eagerly, carrying a binder with Carter spelled in black ink on its side margin. The doctor led Patrick to towards the lounge area for visitors. Come this way. What relation are you to, Mr. Carter? The doctor asked, entering the area of love seats. I'm a lifelong friend, said Patrick, sitting across from the gentleman, establishing eye contact. Great. So how's he doing, doctor? Well, as far as his physical recovery is concerned, he's made a mediocre comeback. His face is healing well with the stitches and his wounds finally healed. I'm sure you understand there was no way to remove the other bullets that were close to his heart and lungs. Doing that would have resulted in a blood clot in his major artery, which could result in death. But he'll live. He'll do okay. I believe he'll continue to progress. So when is he getting out of the hospital? Well, the doctor paused. Mr. Livingston, have you spoken with the family? Doctor, I am family. His girlfriend's cousin and I are married. Oh, so you've been to trial and you're aware of what's happening then? Patrick exhaled and said, no, unfortunately, I haven't been to court, doctor. What does going to trial have to do with my question about my friend going home? I was told by his godmother, who's been frequently visiting, that he's not on life support anymore, that he's been talking, asking for me. So now what's up? Why does he look like that? And why on earth is he still handcuffed and tied down at the same time? Well, you know, there's been some problems. Like, once he came out of the coma, he yanked out a lot of tubes and his breathing tubes, his nasogastric feedings, so he was restrained and sedated. We've done several CAT scans and other tests, and your relative has something called an epidural hematoma. And this is why he's going in and out of consciousness, an intracranial bleed. A what? Intracranial bleed, the epidural hematoma. It's pretty much the same thing. Sir, your relative has been bleeding on his brain for quite some time now. He has a lot of blood in his skull. Beneath the tissue membranes of his scalp, there's really a lot of bleeding. This is what we found with his most recent MRI that was done yesterday. It matches the information from some of his lost records and notes. Several arteries and blood vessels inside his brain have ruptured, and we're looking to repair that. And it's a little out of hand at this point, but we'll do the best we can to stop the speed of the bleeding. I understand he's had several traumas and blows to the head. And there was even a report that he even fell on his head after being shot. Then I'm understanding that he was in a huge auto accident on the same day of the shooting. Patrick nodded, exhaling deeply. He tried tuning the doctor out at this point, but couldn't. He's been bleeding on the brain for several months. According to the records from another hospitalization that was overlooked. And he's been to our emergency room several times with the same symptoms. His brain has even shifted position, a rare case. But it happens, unfortunately. You know, with all the bumps and knocks to the head. With the burns, he may need skin grafts. There's a lot of things stacked up against him. There's also the possibility of a stroke because of how long he's been bleeding with the brain shift. And you're aware of the court case, what's happening. My wife has been there with her cousin. Her cousin was injured that day. My wife informed me of a few things, but not everything. We've been missing each other due to our schedules, said Patrick, hating to bend the truth, subconsciously praying for forgiveness. There's no way humanly possible that Mr. Carter will be able to stand trial. The other hospital he was admitted into for treatment prior to being treated here was contacted for his case, Dr. Katzberg began again. Psychiatrists and some former physicians have compared their treatments with our diagnosis, and his records were found and brought in. We all find that Mr. Carter is suffering from a medical condition we refer to as organic hallucinosis, coupled with organic mood disorder and all forms of an organic psychosis, so to speak. He seems to think that someone is following him or that someone is trying to harm him. It's his grandfather that passed away 2 years ago. Right? Am I right? Fell out the window to his death, right? Patrick nodded uncomfortably to the doctor's question. It's because of the intracranial bleed. Your relative is having delusions, if anything. And apparently he has been suffering from this delusional disorder for a long time now because of the amount of blood we saw on the MRI. Again, we'll do what we can to stop the bleeding. His will to survive is going to help. The organic hallucinosis is partly drug-induced also. We know that Mr. Carter was abusing drugs, but with his misplaced records in, he told the other physicians he'd been clean for some time. Some drugs differ with certain cases, drugs, alcohol. Which drug was Mr. Carter abusing? Wasn't it crack? Crack, doctor! Get to the point. The doctor was taken aback by Patrick's sudden change in temper. I'm sorry, doctor. I truly apologize. I'm just upset. Real worried about him, doc. Well, like I said before, the organic hallucinosis can be drug-induced. So when you say that he was a crack abuser, it seems perfectly logical. He'll even beat himself or harm his own body because of the delusions with the organic mood disorder. It's because of consistent bleeding on the brain. The brain shift may have led to seizures along the way with visions of things and people who don't exist. Smells, taste, different things he hears. Sort of in the same light as paranoid schizophrenia, but not exactly the same attack on the five senses. Patrick and Dr. Katzberg rose to their feet. Modern medicine was great, but ancient customs still stood the test of time. The Duppy theory still upheld its importance. Patrick's plan of wanting to check his grandmother remained, and he hoped he wasn't violating God by leaning to his own understanding, by still desiring his grandmother's opinion. He needed time alone with her before the rest of the family could wake up for the day in person and not over the telephone. It was almost 2 years since Albert Carter's death, and his recovered thug, now near-death grandchild claimed his reappearance more than once. Perhaps there was still more to the phantom mystique than meets the eye. So what now? What's next for him? Patrick asked, reestablishing eye contact. Well, after we stop the bleeding, depending on the verdict of the case, he'll be admitted into a long-term care facility, sorry to say, for the rest of his life. He will need to heal from the intracranial surgery, plus he needs ongoing medication and treatment for the organic hallucinosis and mood disorder. If there was no bleeding, then his hospitalization would have lasted maybe 4 months, perhaps up to a year even. But if he were not bleeding, then he would have to do possible life in jail. Know what I mean? Patrick looked at the floor and nodded. I guess so. The doctor hoped Patrick could handle the last part of the news. It wasn't the easiest thing to tell a friend or a relative that their loved one who escaped death many times was being considered for a possible placement in a mental institution. In his years of practice, he saw many patients deteriorate at the speed of sound in those places. Dwayne Carter would have his 10th life sucked from him in a psychiatry ward. And as far as his current physicians were concerned, Dwayne had deteriorated to a state where he must be considered for the long-term psychiatric treatment. Doc, is he really going to be put away for the rest of his life? Listen, it's just rehabilitative therapy until he eventually heals, with lots of observation. Don't worry. Optimism is the key. He's responding to lots of medication, and he's responding well. Thank you, doctor, for the information. I appreciate it, Patrick said, extending his hand, and the men shook hands. No problem, the doctor replied. With his stethoscope swinging to and from around his lab coat, Dr. Katzberg walked from Patrick back towards the nursing station. Patrick walked in the opposite direction towards the elevator bank. Catching the down elevator to the lobby, he found the closest available payphone. Putting his quarter in the slot, he felt a small tear manifesting in his eye. Hello, may I speak with Arlene, please? Hey. Yes, it's Patrick. Good morning to you also, Arlene. How are you? How are you today? I'm okay. I'm about to head to work now. Yes, I did. I sure did get the rundown. Yes, I saw him too. No, no, he didn't. No, he didn't say anything. I just talked to him, but he didn't respond. What can I tell you, Arlene? You were right. Now I see. I understand now. I understand why you cry, Arlene. I understand why you cry. And that is the end of chapter 18, the very ending of chapter 18, YouTube Live, Instagram Live. That's the ending of chapter 18. For the 18th, out of Duppy, you reap what you sow. If you're interested in buying this book, it's available on Amazon. All of your unsigned copies are over there. And the moment, the Almighty spares my life, I'll get to you and sign it at some point, set up a book signing or something. And if you want a signed copy mailed to you, the quickest way is $25 via Cashapp with your full, complete mailing address in the notes to $RONBYLLZE. I repeat, $Romeo Oscar November Bravo Yankee Lima Zulu Echo. Okay, so that way it's $25 covers postage and handling. Thank you very much for tuning in. IG Live, YouTube Live. It's always a pleasure. The Almighty spares my life. Tomorrow, people, I will be reading to you from chapter 9, an excerpt from chapter 19. So until then, YouTube, thank you very much. Like, share, and subscribe. Continue to subscribe to my channel on YouTube. And if you enjoyed the read, like this video, like them all. On that audio book. And share. Thank you very much. And the same goes for you too. IG Live. Well,